Every person should be responsible for their actions. We are each accountable for what we choose to do in our lives. But I think as the concessionaire responsible for the N3 between Joburg and Durban, I think for us the focus is on working with law enforcement, making sure that the law enforcement agencies are equipped to handle drunk driving or driving under the influence. We have in fact assisted the law enforcement authorities to get livelock equipment on board and with the training to equip them to actually run drunk driving testing and driving under the influence of testing right through this December period and ongoing, not just now.
Yeah, that's another discussion. But Lawrence, while we're on the point of drink driving, it's a massive problem for everyone in South Africa. But it's not only behind the wheel. We have a lot of pedestrians that die, and large percentage of pedestrians that are also killed in South Africa are under the influence of alcohol.
Correct. The World Health Organization estimates that 58% of the deaths on South Africa's roads, and remember deaths on South Africa's roads, that includes also other road users other than drivers of motor vehicles, are under the influence of some form of alcohol. Now, if you consider that a third of those killed on South Africa's roads are pedestrians and not in the vehicle at all, one sees how enormous the problem is. Another estimate, and this is a South African estimate, is that 80% of the pedestrians killed on South Africa's roads were under the influence of alcohol, staggering onto the road, doing things on the road they wouldn't have done if they wouldn't have been under the influence of alcohol.
Just give us a quick, Andy, quick update as to the start of the festive season. It really started this weekend when we think after the schools closed on Friday on the N3, which is normally the busiest road in the country. How have we kicked it off so far?
You know, we always say one crash is one too many. So for us, the benchmark is pretty high. It has been fairly good since Friday. We haven't had anything too major. We have had some minor incidents on the N3, but nothing of major catastrophic situation at this stage. But we are all on full alert and monitoring it as we go forward, particularly as we head into this week.
Well, that's fantastic to hear that the start's been very quiet on our busiest road. But Lawrence, you can tell us something about drunk buster goggles, I understand. Please tell me about this while we're on the trail of drink driving.
Right. Well, what we've done is that we have used the American concept of drunk buster goggles, which is specifically engineered to make it so that when you put it on your face, your eyesight becomes under the influence of alcohol, but not because of alcohol, because of the actual nature of the instrument that you're wearing. Now, the rest of your body remains sober. So what now happens is that you can see exactly what happens to you when you're under the influence of alcohol.
Yeah.
People who have been part of our experiments with the drunk buster goggles, in which we had further experiments in September this year, will all tell you one thing. I will never again do anything with any mechanical object, including a motor vehicle, if I've had something to drink, because I can see how it now affects my eyesight without me realizing it when I am under the real influence of alcohol, because the rest of my body becomes retarded to the same degree as my eyesight. But now it doesn't, of course.
Yeah.
So you actually perceive exactly what will happen to you or has happened to you when you're under the influence.
Absolutely, I think that's a fantastic initiative. If you can have a sober view of what it is like when you have a drink and you're behind the wheel. But Andy, here we see pictures, of course, that are all too familiar to all of us here in South Africa. We had an incident last week where 19 people died in a taxi crash here in Gauteng. But tell us about your campaigns on the N3 and how effective do you think these campaigns are? People always criticize the campaigns. They say, oh, these campaigns, they're there every year and now they're throughout the year, but people still continue to die on the roads and in the same sort of numbers. It would be much worse if there weren't these campaigns, would it?
I think awareness is the most important thing, and I think the more we continue to make people aware of the situation and what is going on out there, the better chance we have of making a difference. I think in terms of our campaigns, it's around partnerships. We like to partner with like-minded organizations, you know, the likes of Imperial Road Safety. We partner with Community Medical Services, and then, of course, all the law enforcement and emergency services along the route. of vital importance is making sure that everybody is working together, working hand in hand, making sure that it is safe. And so our campaigns are centered around, obviously, not driving under the influence, but beyond that, you know, texting while driving is equally dangerous.
Yes.
Fatigue is even more dangerous. In fact, fatigue and driving under the influence are pretty much very closely aligned. So there are a number of campaigns that we run around these kinds of issues and making sure that, and really trying to encourage motorists to take regular breaks, plan their trips, and, you know, perhaps not race down the road, you know, take it easy.
We're all in a hurry here from Joburg to get to our holiday and then rush through it and rush right back. That's how we do it here in Johannesburg. But Lawrence, if you could wrap up this discussion. We see here on screen now the most dangerous roads in South Africa during this time. People that will be travelling on these roads, what kind of advice are you going to give them? Firstly, they should be aware that these roads are quite notorious, shouldn't they?
Definitely. The bit of advice that we would like to give at this particular stage is very, very simple. Obviously, never ever drink and drive, or never ever drink and be on the road. It doesn't matter whether you're a pedestrian driver. But the biggest piece of advice that we can give is that every driver must make sure that he is buckled up and that all his people in his car, whether they're the front seat passenger or the back seat passengers or the baby in the vehicle, are buckled up. It's amazing if I have to tell you these figures which have been proved worldwide. The chances of being killed in a motor vehicle when you are not buckled up is increased by 40%.
Yeah.
The chances of having a serious injury, if not buckled up, is increased by 45%. So in different words, in order to make sure that you and your passengers in the vehicle are safe, please buckle up. This is essential for all drivers to make sure, because it's not the driver himself that's in the most danger. Remember, he's got a steering wheel which he can hold. The front seat passenger's got nothing to hold in the instance of a crash goes through the window. The back seat passengers go flying into the front seat passengers.
Absolutely.
Front seat passenger and the front seat driver, of course.